following podcast is presented by Secret Room Multimedia.
You're listening to Fair Point. I'm Nathan K.
And I'm Le Diable Blanc.
Craig Lewis.
Oh, I could also be the White Devil.
You know what needs to die?
Yes, Nathan K.
We need to put it to death once and for all here, live on air.
Wait, we're gonna execute
everyone
something?
to hear, and by everyone I mean like the 1,000 or so subscribers we have, whoever it is.
That's times 10. What are we executing here?
People shouting, "Run, Forrest, run!" every time they see somebody running.
Wait, hold on.
It's 2015.
Exactly. I haven't heard anybody do this in real life.
Are you serious?
Since like
serious?
1999.
Are you serious?
I am serious. I didn't know it was still a thing.
Everybody, anywhere someone is running, somebody is bound to shout out, "Run, Forrest, run!"
Not once have I experienced it while running ever in my life.
Yeah.
Not once while seeing somebody running in my life have I seen somebody say that past 2003.
The other day, dude, I was kind of running, not too fast, just, kind of lightly jogging down a hallway, and this guy goes, "Run, Forrest, run!" And then I hear his girlfriend like, "Shh, stop, don't."
Like, that's mean.
Yeah, like I'm like,
sick burn. What you should have done is you just should have stopped, turned around, and said,
"Groovy, baby, yeah."
"Oh, you like the shag too? Oh, I see what you're saying there,
I
buddy."
don't get it. No, that catchphrase died when it fucking should have. I feel like people just say it like they're not even thinking of the context of the scene or anything. If you ask them, what happens when... Who yells that and why?
Jenny yells it.
Well, I know, but I'm saying most of these people that shout it out are probably just, I feel like on impulse, just like someone's running. "Run, Forrest, run!" They think they're the fucking most witty pop culture referencer this side of a Quentin Tarantino flick or something. Like, fuck you. Fuck Run, Forrest, run. I'm going to fucking, instead of that, here's what you can say instead. You could be like, "Fly, you fools." That's a good one.
That is a good one, yeah.
Like Gandalf. You got any other ones?
I got one. You're going to be late.
For a very important date?
Yeah, sure.
I'm late. That's a good one. For a very important date. People will be like, "What the? Run, Forrest, run." Oh, I get it.
Yeah, he said the thing from the movie that Tom Hanks movie. The one where he was a retard and sold shrimp.
Or I could be like, "Drat, drat, and double drat." Like that we were having a wacky race and he just passed me, but no one's going to get that one either.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think anybody
that requires
would get that.
too many layers of separation. So we're continuing with Listener Appreciation Month.
I was like, what? What is your issue?
Today we're taking Sarah's awesome request.
Hey, thanks, Sarah. Such a good request. My favorite X-Men.
No way.
Gambit. Yeah, hell yeah.
This happened at the end of the last episode, and I'm like, no way. Again, I literally just edited it.
That happened with James and the Watchmen, too. Right at the end of the wacky races, I said the same exact thing I said in the beginning of the Watchmen episode.
And it surprised me both times.
I think so.
So yeah, Gambit was my favorite X-Men growing up too.
Oh, really?
I mean, I feel like he's my favorite X-Men by default now because he was my favorite as a child.
And people that don't read the comics or really pay close to him in the games or whatever, maybe only know him from either the X-Men Origins Wolverine movie or from the X-Men 90s television series. They might just think his only power is throwing exploding playing cards. Fool, you are wrong. It's much more than that, and we're going to get into it. Just how awesome this guy is. He's the wisecracking, raging Cajun, charming, smooth-ass motherfucker, Gambit.
So let's get this right out of the way, too. Let's address the fucking elephant in the room, because we're not going to talk about it during the podcast proper.
I just think it's so sad that in Hollywood, there hasn't been a really good portrayal of Gambit yet.
Well, you know what's funny is
there still won't be. I'm sorry I cut you off, but I thought finished.
I actually stopped and thought about this because I was doing Google searches and YouTube searches for Gambit, and all that was coming up was Channing Tatum cast as Gambit. Channing Tatum cast as Gambit. Channing Tatum to play Gambit. Huh? Channing Tatum will play Gambit. And I'm like, okay, are there any articles that aren't about Channing Tatum or YouTube videos that aren't about Channing Tatum?
No.
I didn't find anything good until I typed -Channing into the
See, what you have to do
box.
is get through the first 20 pages or so of results, and
Or
then
just-
you get the sweet spot.
No, you do the Google trick to minus. If you type minus
It'll keep
and then a
certain
phrase,
words out.
it'll take that phrase out of the search. It won't include anything that has that word or phrase.
I didn't know that. What I did know is that you could type in barrel roll. And
in
flip.
Google, you can tell it to do a barrel roll, and it will, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Unlike Fox, that bastard doesn't listen.
You realize that bastard is you controlling Fox, right? He's not barrel rolling because you're telling him not to.
I don't play Star Fox. So this got me thinking, though, and I realized that for Gambit being my favorite X-Men, I'm really not that upset about Channing Tatum playing him. And I started wondering, why is that? And I was like, oh yeah, because I don't give a fuck about the X-Men movies. And I'm like, thank God I don't give a fuck about these X-Men movies, because it doesn't bother me one bit.
I keep hearing Days of Future Past was very good.
It sucked. You
hated it?
I hated it.
I have yet to like an X-Men movie since the second one.
You know, yeah, when I first saw the first two, I was like, they're kind of cool, but even then they weren't really what I wanted out of an X-Men movie. And the more they just go on, the less I like them.
I still haven't checked out Days of Future's Past because I disliked First Class so much.
It's better than First Class. I'll give it that.
Okay, so that means it's what? It's definitely not towards Eating Gilbert Grape levels, but it's probably more still around the Daredevil levels.
That's the one with Run, Gilbert, run.
No,
right?
no. Mama's dying, Gilbert. Mama's dead, Gilbert.
Leonardo DiCaprio would be a better Gambit than fucking Channing Tatum.
I still say Josh Holloway. Sawyer from Lost, perfect Gambit.
I don't watch Lost, so I have no idea.
Perfect Gambit. You'd be perfect.
Well, while looking for cool Gambit stuff on the internet, I stumbled upon this one article. I was trying to find something that didn't have anything to do with Channing Tatum, so I found this one article.
And apparently it doesn't have anything to do with the topic, or else we'd be talking about it during the topic, correct?
Well, no, it's Gambit, 5 facts you need to know. I figured this is kind of like your
oh my God, this
isn't...
isn't...
5 ways to combat your fear.
Yeah, but this is so much more degrading to Gambit.
This is from heavy.com, so heavy. Look, I didn't write it.
I'm feeling so heavy. Just had Thanksgiving dinner.
It's clearly just a link bait article. You got a big picture of Gambit, little paragraph composed of, 2 sentences?
Thumbs up so far.
Big picture of Channing Tatum.
Thumbs down so far.
And then it goes, here's what you'll need to know about Channing Tatum's new character. All right.
Oh.
Number 1, Tatum will take over the role from Taylor Kitsch. And it shows a picture of, it looks like Will.i.am, Hugh Jackman, and I don't know who the other 2 people are. One of them might be Channing Tatum. One of them might be Taylor Kitsch. I don't know. Big picture, 1 sentence, classic link bait article, top 5, and it isn't anything but giant pictures in 1 sentence. And
so it's like somebody half-assed a BuzzFeed article.
Number 2, Gambit is one of the most popular characters in history. That's interesting. And you know the picture they chose to go with this one?
Channing Tatum?
Channing Tatum with some girl at I don't know, the Oscars or the sports, or not sports. There's too many
Is there an actual author posted, or is it just the heavy-duty staff?
By Paul Farrell.
Okay, Paul.
Calling you out.
I could play your game, you dirty rogue. He wishes he was rogue.
So Gambit is one of the most popular characters in history.
History.
All just character like Romeo, Juliet, Jesus, No, apparently he's been ranked 65 on IGN's top 100 comic book heroes, a very specific
Of all time.
type of character of all time.
Yeah, so sadly not even top 50, but hey, his actual solo sales, his solo issue sales, not that great. So
And then we've got number 3. Now, this one's, on Fairpoint, I always like to give you something that you don't really learn in other, podcasts about the subject matter. Like Watchmen, you found out about that RPG book. In our chess episode, we looked at
fantasy chess.
Fucking fake-ass fantasy chess. And, stuff like that. Well, this was perfect. Number 3 on this list really gave me something that, it's so cool. And, I kind of wanted to save it for when we're talking about Gambit, but fuck it, we're here now.
Okay, well, hold on one second, okay? Hold on. Let me get situated. I am ready to hear this.
Number 3.
I'm excited.
On the 5 facts you need to know about Gambit.
Go on.
He throws cards.
No!
I shit you not, Craig.
Did I not just say in the beginning you might only know him as a guy who throws playing cards?
And for the big giant picture that goes with this entry, another picture of Channing Tatum out on the red carpet with some lady. Number 4. There could be romance between Tatum and Anna Paquin. I at least hope they're talking about in the movie and not just in general. And number 5. Gambit was able to kick the habit. This one I actually did. This is the one that I actually literally, I'm not just leading you on.
The habit of
thieving.
Think was
cool. Well, he used to smoke cigarettes.
The habit of smoking.
He used to smoke cigarettes, and so did Wolverine. But Joe Quesada instituted an anti-smoking policy, so he doesn't smoke cigarettes anymore. So they kind of were saying Gambit quit smoking cigarettes, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. I kind of do dig that one. Now here's the fun part, Craig.
Oh, there's a fun part to this. I thought it was already fun.
The picture for this entry.
Channing Tatum?
No, actually, it's
Gambit
a picture,
smoking a cigarette.
It's a picture of Joe Quesada. And each of these pictures has a little,
flavor text?
Not flavor text, but like a credit underneath, like Getty Images and whatnot, you know. And this one, underneath the picture of Joe Quesada, says Marvel editor Channing Tatum, Getty Images.
So Joe Quesada is Channing Tatum now?
Right.
Channing Tatum's the best actor alive.
They had him so hard on their brain. This Paul guy had Channing Tatum so hard on his brain that he went to type Joe Quesada and typed Channing Tatum and didn't realize and just clicked publish.
I mean,
it's not a joke. If it was a joke, there would have been a joke somewhere else in this article. It's not like the one
it's
joke
not like a cracked article.
Exactly.
We can't really blame him. He probably just got done watching 22 Jump Street for like the third time in a row that day. It was like, you know what? This is something that needs to be addressed to the world. The world needs to hear my thoughts on his new role as Gambit. So let me look up Gambit. He throws playing cards. Nice. So recently, George Lucas was interviewed, okay?
Oh, I love this news story already.
Right. He came out and said that...
Hold on. I'm not ready yet. Let me get my fucking lightsaber and my big foam finger.
Holy shit, it
Star
really does
Wars
have a
rocks
lightsaber.
And my Jar Jar mask and my...
Dude, where did you get a glowing piece of...
crystal? The crystal in my lightsaber?
Where did you get that crystal?
Somewhere in the outer rim of the galaxy.
I feel like the only way you'd really be able to get a hold of that is if you had to purchase one off of a black market dealer who had gotten it from a dead Jedi.
Why does he got to be black, though? Why can't this market dealer
the market's
be
black.
a white guy or a Toydarian? So George Lucas was interviewed. Oh, man. What did he say?
Well, he came out and said before he sold the rights to Disney, he already had plans to create Episode 7 back in like 2011. Mm-hmm. He didn't really go further on from there. He just kind of was like, I did. Yeah, I totally did. But, you know, the only thing I actually regretted about the whole Star Wars franchise that I branded and created and gave life to, the only thing I regretted about it is that... was
that I didn't put enough dewbacks in the desert. So I petitioned Disney and we're going to be releasing it again with the proper amount of dewbacks, both in the desert, on the Star Destroyer, and on Hoth.
Close.
Woolly dewbacks.
No, but this was a meta thing. he didn't ever get to enjoy the Star Wars films the way that a fan does. Like, this is my first time seeing this. This is awesome.
That's
I'm a Star Wars
the
fan.
only thing he regrets about Star Wars.
George Lucas. Only thing? Really? Really? Off the top of my head, I can name 3 2-hour-long regrets like that.
Oh, yeah. Where did the fucking special edition come from if you didn't have...
For real.
regrets?
The fact that you did remaster them.
The first 3 were horribly flawed. The fucking prequels... perfect. No regrets. The only regret is that I didn't get to experience it like you fucking ungrateful bastards. Interview over.
The only regret is I didn't have the capabilities to film those in the 70s.
It kind of reminds me of when they asked George W. Bush if he could do one thing differently, what would he do? And he was just like, I can't think of anything.
Also, one more regret, maybe, just maybe, casting Aiden Christensen.
You can't blame that on Bush.
Oh, I was still on Lucas. Oh, yeah. Well, why not? Bush let it happen. Let's blame him for that, too.
All right, so more movie news. 2 trailers that I saw recently that I'd like to discuss. The first one, chuckle, giggle, holding back stilted laughs.
Tee.
Have you seen the trailer for Unfriended?
Is it a Facebook movie?
Kinda.
Oh. That was supposed to be my joke.
It's Skype movie more. It's got Skype in it, like it's totally got Facebook and YouTube in it, like.
And they're all such subtly product placed.
It's an MTV movie. It's a horror movie.
So that would be a no.
It's a horror movie about Skyping, about ghost Skyping.
Seriously, ghost Skyping? They could have done an actual horror movie about a stalker Skyping.
Yeah, right.
Like that started on chat roulette or something. Turned to Skype, and then it went south real quick.
I mean, usually it goes south while you're still on chat roulette, but...
It starts off south.
Way south. Fucking Alaska south. So this movie is about a girl who gets, like, there's like a compromising video of her taken when she's at a party, and like people posting on the internet, and they're like slut shaming her and fucking just being horrible, awful human beings.
They're slut shaming her
it.
because she was kidnapped?
No, she wasn't kidnapped.
I thought you said she was taken.
No, a compromising video of her was taken.
Oh, I thought you were like, this is Taken 4, actually. Already coming out at the same time as Taken 3.
They had a video of her acting all drunk and flirty and then passing out, and you could see parts of her on film, and they posted it on social media, and her whole school was just being horrible, awful teenagers and about it. And,
as they are wont to do.
And she ended up killing
herself. Admit it, all teenagers listening. You're a horrible person.
Not all teenagers.
Nope, you're all horrible people.
Not
you're
all.
Horrible little minions, and you're going to ruin our generation.
No,
I remember
not.
back in the good old days when we were all good kids. No, seriously though, all teenagers are shit.
Craig the Curmudgeon Lewis.
I was a little piece of shit, and I was one of the good ones.
No, there are some teenagers that aren't, but yeah, most of them are. Most people, like... So, this girl kills herself and then starts haunting her friends through Skype and gets this group of, like, I don't know if they're her friends or her classmates, this group of people, like, trapped on this Skype call trying to figure out who posted the video, and, like, she's, like, killing them off and revealing, like, compromising shit about them, like, you cheated on me and shit, and, like, it just looks awful.
Oh, God. There's so much to say, but it's just a waste of breath.
It's cool to have that idea of, like, people that do that shit are horrible.
And in no way will this be dated in 5 years. Not at all.
At the same time, too, the fucking victim is the one who's painted as the fucking bad guy. Well, I haven't seen that one before.
What a twist,
in this type of fucking issue.
Oh my God, this person was such a victim, but you know what?
This woman, girl, this teenage girl.
Oh, she's not a... Teenage girls are not people?
Probably played by a woman. Well, I'm saying not just some general person. It's a very specific type of thing that happened to her.
Fair enough. We're getting more specific than me.
In which the victims are often treated as the fucking...
Right, and they end up... Guess what? We're really the bad guy.
Literally, I'm haunting Skype and...
This movie produced by the Republican Party.
Making people shove their hands in blenders and shit. It looks moderately creepy, but it looks awful. And it's with a movie called Unfriended. What do you expect? Now, this other trailer, though, is the one I really wanted to talk about. Craig, have you seen it? SLC Punk 2, the trailer's here. It's dropped the SLC Punk 2 from its title, though. Punk's dead.
Punk's dead. I haven't,
A young
actually.
Punk story or something?
I'm not sure how excited I am about it. Are you really excited about it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's kind of like Jurassic World. I've seen the trailer. It doesn't look awful. It looks like it could go either way, and I just am hoping for the best.
I mean,
and I'm like super excited either way.
It could be an amazing film, a masterpiece, a work to put up there with the Coen brothers. I just don't know how necessary it is to write a sequel to a great film that was done a while ago, and like, I don't know. I think you need to get the hype back for it. You know,
Okay.
get people to get back into SLC Punk and that whole scene, and they just be like, oh, a sequel to a punk movie that was, what, 10, 15 years ago?
Yeah, the director wanted to make it, man. Let him have his pet project. I'm excited.
Well, if it's the same director, it's at least a step in the right direction.
Well, yeah, there's no studio that's like, man, we got to fucking capitalize on this. SLC Punk 2 has to happen. You're right, though. They did do S. Darko. So I guess just some shit filmmaker could get their hands on it.
I was kind of like fearing that.
No. He wanted to do it. He said one of the reasons he wanted to do it is because he's sick of people telling him, thank God you grew out of that punk thing. And he's like, you know what? Fuck you guys.
I didn't, okay?
I didn't.
Still a shitbag.
But I didn't really catch most of it until the second time around watching the trailer. Did you notice Sean is all throughout it? Devon Sawa?
Really?
He's the guy in the beanie.
I told you I didn't see the trailer, so no, I didn't notice.
You didn't? I thought you said you did see it.
No, I said I didn't. I hadn't yet.
What?
Oh, I'm sorry. I saw that you had posted it on Facebooks, but I really didn't have a chance to watch it. I kind of came right from work.
Devon Sawa is back. You know, the kid that tried to kill his mom on acid.
Yeah. He was the acid dealer, and then he ran from a cop. It soaked into his pants.
Yeah. There's John the Mod. You can see John the Mod.
Oh, yeah?
And also the guy in the trailer, when you see the trailer, there's a guy who's like, I'm practically his uncle. I didn't realize this till the second time I watched it. That's Eddie, the like ladies' man who was, everyone would think he was gay, but he's not gay. He just really liked women or something. Remember, they go out, drive to Utah.
You like having sex with women so much, you're freaking gay.
Yeah, so those three characters, obviously Trish and Heroin Bob, are in the trailer. Warning, if you haven't seen the first movie, it spoils the ending of the first movie within 2 seconds. Yeah. So we're not going to do that here, but definitely watch the first movie before you watch the trailer. Oh,
absolutely.
For the sequel. Great
film. I am now a little more excited to check it out. The new 50 Shades of Grey TV spot came out.
Really?
You know what burning question they were asking all the viewers? Are you curious? Well, 50 Shades of Grey. To answer you in short, no. Not even remotely.
Yeah.
What? It's just a guy having lots of bondage sex with a girl.
It's Twilight fan fiction. You know that, right?
It's not even porn. Yeah, I do know that, but I don't know where it comes from because there's no vampires in it.
They changed the names and all that stuff. They just changed them to regular people, but it was originally posted on the internet as Twilight fan fiction.
Okay, so it actually had the original written one.
The original manuscript of this
had vampires.
Was like Edward and Bella or something.
Okay, that makes a little more sense now because I knew it was, but I didn't understand how it was because it's just two people having sex. Seriously, like a businessman meets this girl and like, hey, he's so rich, but he's a really sexually depraved, kinky guy, and he keeps pushing her further and further.
He's an abusive person.
Yeah, and it looks like it's a bunch of borderline rape.
I mean, it's somebody's fantasy that they wrote, and it's not like
But she likes like that rape-y thing.
Which really it's more pornographic than a like accurate representation of like that type of, you know. It's just like what somebody who's imagining that type of thing in their head.
So basically,
you know what I mean?
This whole movie is like a middle-aged soccer mom reading Twilight, taking a nap, having a dream. What she's dreaming, more or less.
From what I understand, there's no role-playing going on in 50 Shades of Grey. It's just an abusive relationship.
Yeah, the trailers make the girl look scared, so...
And the audience, the same. Needless to say, that's not really the type of movie that you'd want to get like sexual education from. You know what I mean?
I think you would want to get sexual education from one of the boring ones in health class.
Or it doesn't have to be so boring, Craig. What if I told you you could get your sexual education from brightly colored, vibrant, fun children's cartoons? Swedish children's cartoons.
Oh,
no less.
is one like a turtle and the other's
No.
The other's
I guess you
raccoon,
could call it that.
And then they showed everybody how to put a condom on.
This Swedish children's educational cartoon about penises and vaginas debuted on this like children's programming block in Sweden. It features a dancing penis and a dancing vagina, both cartoons with a face and even like dancing penises with top hats.
So that's hilarious. That's brilliant. But I do have to ask, where do the eyes go on the vagina? They go I don't need, like, where do you start and stop? Like I just like, do you have legs too?
What I'm wondering is, you're like, the penis, well, it's obvious, but a vagina.
Well, a dick is a dick, so
the eyes go here, the mouth goes here.
Right, it stands
top hat
upright.
goes here.
It's been done in kids' binders for years, so it's kind of self-explanatory.
Well, unfortunately, 12-year-old boys just haven't had enough visual reference for long enough to master the art of cartoon vagina designing.
Yeah, absolutely not. At least I hope not.
With the internet, I'm sure they're getting right on that.
Oh, this is a new age, isn't it?
This is quite the watch, Craig. It's most of the singing is in Swedish. It's a song.
It sounds beautiful already.
And every once in a while, though, like the theme song to like Dragon Ball Z and shit, they'll shout out like English phrases.
Oh my God.
Like there's this one part where they're like singing and the cartoon vagina's dancing. And at the end of the line, they're like, so elegantly. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I actually looked up the translation of that. The whole lyric that they say is, the vagina is cool. You'd better believe it. Even on an old lady. It just sits there so elegantly. There's some other line where it's like, here comes the penis at full speed, which just sounds horribly threatening.
So is this like teaching small children, like telling them what's that down there? Or is this like an actual sexual, like, this is how kids have sex?
No sex. Nothing about sex.
Okay, thank God, first off.
There's nothing about sex.
It seems like this is geared towards little kids to watch.
It's teaching them about their bodies and the differences between boys and girls, like is how it was put. And it doesn't, I don't know every word they said, but no, from what I understand, there's nothing about sex. It's
okay, good. Well, funny as this may be, maybe it's a smart move to teach them the differences.
Yeah, you know, I don't honestly, like, it's a funny news story, but I can't say I see anything wrong with teaching children about their bodies and not to be ashamed of stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's how repressed memories start at age 8.
This cartoon?
No, not getting this cartoon.
Interestingly enough, it was posted on YouTube and a bunch of people complained about it. So YouTube had it marked as you had to verify your age in order to watch it. You had to sign in and verify your age.
Funny, something for kids. You now have to be over 18 to view.
The TV station actually complained to YouTube, so YouTube took that off, and it's not anymore because they're like, this isn't for adults. This is for children. You should not have this marked as mature content. And they took it off, mature content.
I bet you it was moms along the Bible Belt were all angry.
Well, speaking of the Bible Belt, Craig, New Jersey isn't quite the Bible Belt.
So close.
But I'm gonna take the segue anyway.
Speaking of the Bible Belt, here's something north of that. Pastor
Eric DeMann, I guess, who he's certainly not DeMann, or as Gambit would say.
He's not DeMann?
He's not DeMann.
Who would say that?
Sherry Gambit. Like
that was so Jamaican. It's not even funny.
His voice in the show is horrible.
Oh, Sherry.
That's not how he talked, though. He's like, Gambit don't like that.
Gambit don't like that, huh?
You do a better Gambit than they did. But Pastor Eric DeMann of the Bible Baptist Church in Hasbrouck Heights, New Jersey, was recently caught on tape doing his sermon. I don't know if he was caught on tape or if it was just being filmed. It looked like it was just being filmed.
TMZ, caught on tape. What is this pastor gonna do? He's so crazy.
Well, yeah, they had him acting all drunk and slutty at a party, so they
shamed him on Facebook.
And Now he's using the power of Jesus to plague them through Skype.
Jesus, haunt these people for me.
No, actually. He takes a much more hands-on approach. He was bragging during his sermon about how he punched a kid in the chest.
Because he didn't believe in Jesus.
More or less.
You don't believe in Jesus? Believe in my fist.
I am a man, and he is the son of man. He was working with a youth group in Calgary, and I guess this kid just wasn't taking the Lord seriously.
I don't believe in your phony baloney God, Pastor.
He said he was a smart aleck, but he said he was a really bright kid, which only made him worse.
Who is you to me? Yeah, if he grows up...
He said it only made him more dangerous.
Right, because if he grows up... Because he's smart, so if he grows up not believing in Jesus, he could, ruin the church.
So this kid, he said, was just trying to get under my skin. I don't think he even talked like that, but...
I want you to give him a Jersey accent.
He said that the kid was just trying to get under his skin and trying to get to him and not taking the Lord seriously. And so, bam! He's like, I crumpled the kid. Crumpled him. Punched him. Dude, he acted out the punch during his sermon and everything. And he went, bam! Crumpled him to the floor.
And
punched him right in the chest.
Directly following that statement, he said, oh, what? No, officer, it's the hand of God.
Actually, it's even better, Craig. He went down. He crouched down at him and he whispered to him. He whispered, where is your lack of a God now? No, he didn't say that, but he did crouch down and whisper to him something like when will you start taking the Lord seriously or something?
You don't take the Lord seriously, this is what happens to you.
What the fuck? But this happened 13 years ago, so we can't have the fucking bastard arrested.
Oh, he told the story after the statutes was up. But we do know that now there is a pastor on the loose that might be punching children.
He's not sexually abusing them.
Nope, just punching them in the chest.
Just punching them.
Maybe that's better, but still not good.
It's still very, very low on the
very,
spectrum.
very bad. New Jersey moms, look out.
Now,
careful.
Now, in his defense, he did say, when recently questioned about this, that he does not endorse punching he said, I do not endorse child abuse or the punching of children. Of course he's going to say that. But the thing is, you already did endorse it.
I don't endorse the punching of little children, but this kid really had it coming to him, though. I'm telling you. If you were around him, you would have punched him, too.
Bam! Jersey slammer right in the chest.
That's just what we do in Jersey, huh? Forget about it. Well, somebody else is punching something into the ground.
Okay.
China is punching the life out of small rodents.
Oh my God, that's horrible. This is just
metaphorically punching them.
This is the trend in China among teenagers. They're like, is your kid gerbling?
No, it's worse. No, it's worse. It's so much worse. The mass extermination of the small mouse rodent that Pikachu is based off of, the Pika.
Oh.
So sad.
They're exterminating them?
Because apparently they say the holes that they burrow in the ground like a prairie dog would is dangerous to the environment, but that has been proven false. And they're still doing it, kind of.
Like, we don't give a fuck.
Like, fuck those little things.
They don't take the Lord seriously. I'm going to punch them.
Punch them into the ground. Yeah, so we need to make a concerted effort to make sure they realize that they're actually harming the ecosystem by doing that, because they thought it was bad to the environment, but in reality, it actually helps irrigation. So water flow. Yeah, way to go, China. The Raging Cajun, mon ami. That was terrible. I'm sorry. A.K.A. Robert Lord, A.K.A. Le Diable Blanc, A.K.A. Death, A.K.A. The Cajun Thief, A.K.A. Gambit.
Remy Labeau.
Remy Labeau. That's his real full name. Awesome name, too, by the way. such a suave name.
Totally. He's one of the X-Men. He's the guy with the big, long brown trench coat. Awkwardly pink metal chest plate.
And red eyes.
Fingerless gloves. Well, some of his gloves are fingerless, and some of them have fingers. Some fingers are covered, and some are...
Yeah, we get it.
I don't fucking know.
I more know him for his...
Bow staff,
his kind of
charming
weird
eyes.
Hair. Charming?
I don't know.
More like demon eyes. They're black with red.
I was just trying to finish your sentences incorrectly.
Very well done, sir. He's about 6'1", 6'2"-ish, if you could. Weighs about $170.
What are we fucking giving a description of the cops?
Yeah, so his eyebrows were kind of like over to the left.
What does that even mean?
No. Draw it over to the left.
Was one of you not stoned when he stole your stereo? No.
What?
How do you think he stole the stereo? Keep up, officer.
For real. Like, Jesus. He is a world-class master thief.
Yeah, one of those 90s anti-heroes.
Well, I mean, he's flip-flopped on which side he's on.
One of them 90s anti-heroes.
Yeah. Mostly he's a good guy, though. He's got good intentions at heart.
An anti-hero shouldn't be a villain who's kind of good. It should be a good guy who's kind of bad. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was just the way he was raised. He was raised in a thieves guild. But let's talk about his mutant powers, because they are so cool and so BA.
If you don't know, he's a mutant. A
mutant
is a person born with evolutionary new abilities, like
what does
genetic abilities.
What does DC call them? That's what Marvel calls them. What does DC call them? People with...
You're the fucking DC fanboy. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they just call them aliens or superheroes or metahumans. Metahumans. That's what they call them in DC.
Okay.
And so mutants.
Mutants.
Mutant has such like a negative term.
Well, no, because that's what it is mutated genes, which are responsible for a lot of traits. That
but if you were to call somebody a mutant, chances are it wouldn't be an endearing term.
Right. I wonder why like Cyclops and Magneto and Professor X haven't thought about maybe rebranding, maybe finding a friendlier word to call ourselves.
Because
mutants.
If they did that and they just called them metahumans, they would kind of lose most of their story
Magneto's
arcs.
like homo superior. And Charles and Charles Xavier is like, no, that's not gonna work because, and Wolverine is like, it's too gay, and he's like, no, Logan, no, not because it's too gay.
In fact, it is not gay at all. It just kind of makes us look like we're looking down on them, and then Magneto's like, but aren't we?
So Gambit is one of these mutants, if you will,
muties,
one of these homo superiors.
That's funny.
It's not funny, Craig. They're just words.
It's hilarious, dude. His mutant ability is basically like he controls biokinetic energy, which allows him to tap into the potential energy of an inanimate object and charge it with kinetic energy, i.e.
converts it to kinetic energy.
Yeah.
Kinda. And it makes it super pink and glowy.
And it makes it explode.
That too. That I figured the pink and glowy thing was held prominence.
I guess so. I guess how else do you show like transferring potential energy into kinetic energy in an object?
You could. Well, there's many ways. You could do it purple and glowy. But you could even possibly get away with doing like an orangey, but pink.
But pink kind of...
It's efficient.
It makes it like, oh, no, this isn't just one of your regular namby-pamby explosions.
I hate namby-pamby explosions.
Oh, you weren't a fan of Jubilee then.
Actually, a namby-pamby explosion sounds like the perfect type of explosion for me. I don't
Fireworks? Firework hands?
I don't need explosions of a higher grade in my life.
No, how awesome would that be on the 4th of July every year? Everybody would love you. You'd just be like, guys, it's on.
Check it out.
Pew, pew, pew. And if you can really control that and like make designs in the explosions,
He's
like
a mutant, get him. Why are you beating me with that 2x4? Stop.
Doing this on this day is so ironic. Where's my freedom? Oh. Anyways, back to the awesome man Gambit and his kick-ass powers. So a lot of people think from the show, like, he's like, oh yeah, he has exploding cards. He can make cards explode. Like, no. Do you realize he could just like touch a giant truck and make it explode?
But it would take a lot longer to charge because the bigger the
there's
object,
a lot more mass.
That's why he used playing cards. They're so small and thin that he's able to charge it super fast.
They're quick and easy.
And it's easier to control the explosions.
2 quick reasons why he used that. Actually, he was quoted.
Also because it's cool, Nathan.
Yes.
You can't discount that.
Well, okay, 3 then.
And it was the 90s, and he was badass.
4 then. No, he used playing cards. He said that, well, you know, when I carry a deck of playing cards, it's as if I have 52 little bombs right in my back pocket. And that's such a badass quote, man. That's such a kick-ass line. I was like, oh, Gambit, tell me more.
If it was from the show, he'd be like, when Gambit carried the cards, it's like Gambit got 52 cards and bombs in Gambit pocket. I hated that shit, dude. I don't know how he was my favorite character as a kid when he talked like that on that fucking cartoon.
In X-Men Evolution is where he said the thing about the 52 bombs.
No, I know, but I'm saying if that was... I thought you were talking about the comic, actually.
Right. I know what you were saying, but you were like, if it was in the TV show, and I was like, actually, it was in one of the TV shows.
Okay.
But the other reason is the first weapon he actually used was a playing card just because it was there.
Yeah.
That's what it was available. So it's kind of like, I'm guessing it holds like a little bit of significance to him.
And also, this ability has, different levels of potential, you know what I mean? Of like what he can do with it. There was one point where he was pushed to his total fucking like maximum potential.
Oh, he almost couldn't, he barely could control them at all. He really couldn't.
He couldn't even control it when he first started manifesting, let alone what it was then. But no, I think at this point it was to help him fight the new son, who turned out to be an alternate universe Gambit. Comics are weird.
He was on a different Earth.
So, according to the X-Men wiki, quote unquote, at his full power, Gambit can control all aspects of kinetic energy up to even the molecular level, allowing him to fire energy blasts, defy gravity, heal wounds, charge objects within his line of sight without contact. Additionally, he can charge organic matter, blowing it up by just thinking about it, and effectively exist as energy. He can also manipulate the potency of the energy release. He had the power necessary to cause another being to be unable to move or unable to stop if in motion. He was able to cause or simulate various energies by manipulating the kinetic energy present, such as infrared and microwaves, by increasing molecular agitation, or cold by reducing it.
So badass. That makes him
fuck?
way better than Jean Grey.
Once he used it to fucking time travel
by
turning himself into energy.
That's a thing that happened in the comics.
That's a broken character.
A broken character? It's like they're just like, oh, he's like Superman. He can do whatever he wants. So basically, in a nutshell, what it means is he can actually control molecules and time.
He can also like generate a static that prevents telepaths from getting in.
Oh yeah, he's got a barrier in his little dome piece.
Yeah.
That comes in handy when he's alone in his room thinking about what he wished he could do to Rogue, and Professor X and Jean Grey are just like, I wonder what Gambit's up to.
Well, that would be very dickish of them. Do you think that's how Professor X and Jean Grey use their powers?
Maybe Jean Grey, when she was younger, she's like, I wonder what Gambit's up to. Let me listen. Oh my God. Rogue is just a child still.
Was she? She was probably still a teenager, huh?
Yeah, they were teenagers.
Oh, Gambit. Oh, Gambit. What are we going to do with you?
Actually, I think she was at least an adult, though, when she met Gambit.
There's a difference. Yeah, she was totally a child, but I think she was at least an adult.
Listen, I was.
He also, once he lost his sight and developed the power to read his playing cards like tarot cards, which is weird because generally you need your sight to read tarot cards.
Right? Well, it basically like he was allowed to feel it. It was like the cards were made of Braille. That's a whole nother thing of him losing his sight. He actually lost his sight because he
jerked off too much to fucking
wives' tale. I keep telling you that it won't really happen. Maybe in a Marvel comic, but No, he threw a playing card at somebody. It was reflected back at him and it exploded like in his face and it blinded him temporarily.
That's it?
Yeah, that's what happened.
Wow. That's kind of, for comics, that's kind of like
Tame?
uneventful. I thought like maybe his father from the past, traveled back to him from the future. And
really?
I don't know.
From beyond the grave, Marvel Zombie style.
But it was really just an alternate dimension version of Professor X, who was his father in this dimension.
Another small bit of his powers is he's got like this charm to him. And it's stated as a power because he can actually charm somebody into doing what he suggests they do.
Really?
Yeah.
I think he's just charming.
He's just that damn smooth.
I think you do what he asks you to do, too.
I would. He's smoother than Billy D. Williams.
Don't get carried away,
he is.
Craig.
Mon ami, let me tell you something, huh? Sherry.
Why do you not take Gambit seriously? Right in the chest, I crumpled you.
Right, and I crumpled you. And then I teabagged him.
For the Lord.
Hand in hand, we teabag for the Lord.
That was the Lord's teabag. Had some frankincense and myrrh in there. Shit.
Oh, Jesus.
Now, here's the crazy part about Gambit's powers. You thought time travel was the crazy part?
You're not talking about enhanced strength, agility, and durability, are you?
No, pretty much all superheroes have that.
But the powers help him get that.
Yes. He is one of the 4 horsemen of Apocalypse. Not like...
Oh, my God. Is that technically his power, though? That he just became it for Apocalypse,
yes,
right?
Not the Apocalypse, not like chosen by Jehovah.
The villain Apocalypse of Marvel lore.
Yes, he has his own 4 horsemen, and he turned Gambit into death. Well, Gambit willingly did it.
He thought he was going to double agent the shit out of it. And he was going to infiltrate it, maybe control the situation a little bit, so it doesn't end up really betraying the X-Men. But that kind of backfired on him. Not only did his body get warped, but his mind was warped. And when I say his body was warped, he turned a jet black color and his hair turned white, and he started actually thinking he was death. But there was still a little bit of Gambit left in him, I guess.
Well, the interesting thing, though, is that death still is inside him. He got his regular form back with the help of Mr. Sinister.
Right, but I swear to God, he looked like Drizzt Do'Urden.
Yes, perfect comparison.
Like a draw-off.
But that's still inside him because there was, even just a few years ago, there was something happened and it made him regress to that form.
Right. Oh, well, Mr. Sinister really did is he kind of made him, helped him tuck it back away so he would just forget about it, and it just kind of resurfaced eventually. But yeah, that's crazy. What helped him keep himself? He actually said, I am both Death and Gambit. Mm-hmm. So he's like, I will not kill my X-Men friends. They're my friends. And I love this bitch.
What helped him? You're saying what helped him do that was what?
The power of suggestion.
Hey, maybe you're still Gambit. I hadn't thought about it that way. I'm Death and Gambit.
Print it.
Apocalypse.
Print it. I didn't mean to say what helped him, to be honest.
So it wasn't teenage, the thought of
No.
teenage girls and be like, ooh, Gambit loved them teenage girls. I'm not just deaf, Apocalypse. Gambit also live.
You feel me, mon ami? I think I got a better Cajun accent than you.
Gambit's Cajun accent's horrible. I don't need to do a good Cajun accent to do Gambit.
You haven't been watching the right Gambit, then.
Fair. In the cartoon that I grew up with, the accent was horrible.
In the cartoon I most recently watched.
Do Cajuns just refer to themselves in the third person? Is that part of the accent?
Gambit don't like none of this.
I feel like Gambit, I never remembered him doing that in the comic. Maybe I'm wrong. Write to me and let me know if so. Fairpointpodcast.
Gambit referring to himself in the third person?
Yeah.
I honestly, in prep of this, I've read 8 Gambit comics. And I would have to say, maybe? I wasn't paying that close attention to what he was saying. I was just like, oh, he's so charming. Joel, how can you not fall for that? Anyways.
And of course, besides his powers, what also helps him is he's a really badass thief and a really good fighter. He's trained in French kickboxing and bojutsu because he uses his extendable metal bow staff.
Oh, his bow staff.
Yeah.
And did you mention that he was bilingual, English and French?
There you go. That too.
Boom. That's a mutant power.
Notre Gambit's trilingual. English, French, and the language of love.
You hear what I'm saying, Sherry?
Sometimes in the cartoon, he did get a little like, wow, Gambit, this is a kid's cartoon. Put it away, Gambit. Like, come on.
Down, boy.
So Gambit was created by writer Chris Claremont and artist Jim Lee.
Also helping in the creation was Howard Mackey, Andy Kubert, and Mike Collins. They were all letterers and, pencilers, shaders, stuff like that.
Did they help in the creation of a character?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. I guess it would be far be it of me to insult. I'm not insulting their craft, just insinuating that I didn't think it had that much to do with character creation. But
well, if you're talking that, then it's probably mostly Chris Claremont.
No, the artist has a lot to do with it too.
But the other guys helped in the art.
Watchmen. Well, yeah, but not in the designing, right?
Fair. Okay.
I mean, it's like I wouldn't say that the shinglers didn't do shit for my house.
Well, guess
but I also
what?
wouldn't say that they created my house.
They are pegged in the creation of it. Okay. They helped.
He first appeared in 1990 in a cameo in Uncanny X-Men Annual 14, and a few weeks later with a more fleshed out role in Uncanny X-Men number 266.
So does that mean in the 14th year of the Uncanny X-Men, he was when he was finally brought to life?
Yes, I believe so, or at least as long as they were doing an annual.
Okay.
He was actually, though, what a lot of people don't know, was conceived of by Claremont to be a new recurring villain for the X-Men to face, because Magneto and the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants was sort of getting old.
But he's so charming, he charmed Chris Claremont into making him a hero.
The original idea, as told by Chris Claremont, he was, quote-unquote, a mysterious young boy, apparently an 11-year-old, at the orphanage where Scott Summers was raised, Cyclops, who turned out to be the secret master of the place. In effect, what we were setting up was a guy who was aging proportionately over a lifespan of roughly 1,000 years. Even though he looked like an 11-year-old, he'd actually been alive since the mid-century at this point. He was actually about 50.
Oh, shit.
He had all the grown-up urges. He's growing up in his mind, but his body isn't capable of handling it, which makes him quite cranky. And of course, looking like an 11-year-old who'd take him seriously in the criminal community. So he built himself an agent, in a sense, which was Mr. Sinister.
Mr. Sinister was his agent?
Originally. That was, in effect, the rationale behind Sinister's rather, for want of a better word, childish or kid-like appearance. The costume, the look, the face, it's what would scare a child. Even when he was designed, he wasn't what you'd expect in a guy like that.
Damn, that's fucking awesome.
And then Gambit, little 11-year-old, would see Rogue and sort of like really want her.
And she's like, he's just a kid.
So he creates an older version of himself that can pursue her, I guess. I don't know. These comics are fucking weird.
Oh, so his powers had already reached full potential there.
And this guy ends up falling in love with her, and it awakens some humanity in Gambit.
A dirty 50-year-old falling in love with Rogue while he looks 11.
He was also planned to be Cyclops' brother at one point.
Meh. While that shit is pretty cool, I'm glad they went with what they decided to go with.
Such as the creation of a character.
Yeah, it usually takes a lot.
Goes in strange directions.
It starts off one way, ends up a totally other way. Oh, but I didn't have to tell you that. You probably got to figure that out for yourself.
Is that when I have kids or something?
Yes.
This Remy Labeau was born in New Orleans, Louisiana, and immediately thereafter kidnapped from the hospital by the Labeau clan thieves guild.
Well, it's actually it's noted that his father abandoned him at the hospital. His real father.
Oh, really?
And parents.
What
yeah,
a
because
fucking dick.
Because his eyes were the eyes of the devil. They thought he had something to do with satanic demonology.
They called him the White Devil, who was prophesied to unite the rival Thieves Guild and Assassins Guild.
Right. That's what the antiquary first called him.
Why would that designate you a devil?
Because of his eye. I don't know, demon eyes?
It seems like no, I'm saying uniting the rival guilds. That seems like the chill thing to do.
That's a privacy.
The devil would pit them against each other.
That's a prophecy right there. You never know, man.
Well, it's whatever because he doesn't end up fucking doing it. So that's
fails,
how much
actually.
Your prophecy's worth less than a fucking cup of coffee.
Well, it's funny. Jean-Luc Labeau, the head of the Thieves Guild, doesn't like the fact that he's going to be a child slave in the antiquaries collection. So he kind of arranges for Fagin's mob to take care of him and raise him, which is one of the little sects of the Thieves Guild.
They're like a kind of street gang, right?
Yeah, a little street gang, raised by a street gang. And
I'm going to give him a better life than this.
Yeah,
hey, you
a
little
slave
fucking
child.
hoodlums. Get your asses over here. Take care of this fucking kid.
Well, taking steps. Well, he's not done yet because he still has an eye and an interest in this kid. And he sets up a phony pickpocketing where he stops him from pickpocketing himself. Like Jean-Luc set up himself getting pickpocketed by little 8-year-old Remy, takes him in and makes him his adopted son. Raises him from there.
Why didn't he just do that from the fucking start?
Because
he's like 8 years, man. That's 8 years of progress I made when I would have had to been dealing with this.
Think about it this
this
way:
little shit's diapers.
Yeah, he didn't want to change diapers. He didn't want to raise a small child. He's like 8 years old. You're ready. I'll take you now. Thank you for raising him before that. Thank you. Thank you for doing all the dirty work.
Those kids down there spray painting fucking anarchy signs on the fucking brick walls, banging out Public Enemy. I'll let them raise him.
Wow, you really got those street gangs like in the 80s.
You kids with your Public Enemy and your anarchy signs.
You forgot your breakdance circles
and your breakdancing
and your graffitiing.
So as a teenager, his powers started to surface, but he kept it a total secret. Didn't tell anybody. Didn't tell his dad. He's not his real dad. He's like, I'm not telling you about my powers. You're not my real dad.
He was scared. He didn't know what to do. So he played with them in secret, which seems like a metaphor.
A lot of teenagers can
for
relate
learning
to that.
learning how to jack it.
Right. He didn't actually. Once he got accepted into the school, they're like, show us your powers, and he's like, what? Gambit not gonna do that. And they're like,
speaking like a full-grown adult, Gambit.
What do you mean you're not? Show us your powers. You said that when you were a teenager, you discovered you had powers and you didn't tell anyone. You experimented with it in private. He's like, this school's sick. I'm going to report you.
That's between me and hopefully maybe Rogue.
I'll show her. I'm not showing you, old man.
Hey, Rogue, mon ami. You want to see my power?
She comes out of the room. Fucking a minute later, she's like, so he doesn't have powers.
No.
It's like, hey, what do you mean I don't? I'm all power, baby.
Oh, that's so sad. In reality, Rogue would kill him if they did that. She's got crazy powers too. That's another day.
Really? What's your power, Cherry?
Well, I can basically drain your energy.
Oh, I got some energy you can drain, Cherry.
If I kiss you for too long, I'll put you in a coma.
I don't think he was talking about kissing, Rogue. So at age 15, he was assigned as tithing, which is sort of a coming-of-age ceremony, and he was assigned to steal from Kandra, who...
Oh.
Kandra is this telekinetic mutant who can use her powers to unlock abilities in other people, and
this
even
is interesting.
Keep herself young for centuries. It seems like they utilized what kind of their original ideas for Gambit were in this character a little bit.
Oh, yeah?
With her being able to prolong her aging and keep herself young for centuries.
Right, yeah.
She also had this ill-defined relationship with the Thieves Guild in which she would provide them with longer life in exchange for some kickback from their profits and whatnot.
And they're like, hey, you know it'd be cool, go steal something from her. That's your initiation. And it seems like just like they set Gambit up to fail in this. She's a full-grown mutant who's honed her powers for hundreds of years.
Yeah, go steal from her, you fucking teenage shit.
If you come back, you could be in the club. So she stops Gambit and...
catches him in the act.
Yeah, and she actually remembers him from a fight 100 years ago as a little more aged Gambit.
Basically, Gambit in the future travels back to the past, and she recognizes him from her past. But he hasn't done it yet. So
are you keeping up with us yet?
Comics are weird.
Comics are weird. So she's got plans for him. She sells him off to a slave trader known as Pig.
This mutant gangster.
Yeah, he has plans to sell them to Hydra as boy soldiers.
That fucker. Seriously, that's
fucking
fucking
pig.
that's
That is
horrible.
terrible. That is despicable.
Villainous.
On all wow. You think that's what make them villains?
Did you really seriously just realize that, Craig?
No, absolutely not. I thought the sarcasm was thick enough.
But Gambit, of course, uses his powers to escape. And as he's being pursued by Pig, he sees a playing card, picks it up, charges it, and throws it in that fucker's face.
Boom! No more eye, Pig.
That marked the beginning of an era.
Not to be confused with Professor Pig from DC Universe.
Total different character.
Total different character.
But that's
this
who
one's
I'm going
actually
to pretend it was.
a terrible. Well, I guess Professor Pig is a terrible human being as well. But Professor Pig is sick in the head,
Yeah, very
and
sick in the head.
and Pig is just a terrible piece of human trash. Not even that human anymore.
So later, the Thieves Guild ends up being hired by one Dr. Nathaniel Essex, who's really I'm not gonna lie to you. It's Mr. Sinister in disguise. Be straight up with you.
He like kind of shapeshifted. He's got Mystique's powers now.
He hires them to steal back his journals from the Weapon X project. And Gambit gets the journals, but he doesn't really trust this guy.
No, fuck
this
that.
Dr. Nathaniel Essex,
Something's
if that
off
is
about
your
this.
real name.
This Mr. Nathaniel type. Something's off about him.
So he burns the journals.
Easily done. I mean, he could kind of poof, make it, think it happened.
Now, that was his first run-in with Mr. Sinister, but it won't be his last.
Oh, certainly not. He's had a lot of run-ins with the guy.
In the meantime, though, he attempts to iron things over between the Thieves and Assassins Guild by marrying the granddaughter of the head assassin.
Oh,
Yeah, that ought to do it.
Belladonna?
Yeah, I would see, yeah.
Yeah.
I could see how you would think that you being a member of the Thieves Guild marrying the granddaughter of the... Yeah, I could see how that would make everything okay.
it's like a Godfather movie where it's like, whoa, these two families say, you come here, you marry her, now we're families together. Oh, hey, we can all split the money. And then they just get greedy and kill each other.
It is very Shakespearean because the whole plan backfires.
Yeah, Julian, Belladonna's brother, is like, nah, fuck this. This ain't happening. Gambit, you and me were fighting.
They're like, if anyone has reason why these should not be wed, speak now or forever hold your peace. And he's like, I do.
Is what he said.
He's like, that Cajun over there, which is something I noticed in the old cartoon. They're always rogues like, you Cajun. And shit.
Such a derogatory term.
Logan calls him a Cajun. It's not a derogatory term, but it's like, Jesus,
You're
guys.
regional.
But yeah, it's like, you don't just, that's racist. Like, yes, he's a Cajun. That's not an insult.
You're just stating what he is.
And he's like, well, at least Gambit not a homo superior. And then Professor X whispers in his ear.
Are.
And he's like, what'd you say about me, old man? And he punched him in the chest. Bow. Crumpled him.
Crumpled to the floor.
I punched that old man because he didn't have enough faith.
Where's
in the
your
Lord.
mutant powers now?
So,
So like we said, Julian's like, I challenge you to a fight. Remy's just, acting in self-defense. He doesn't want to do this. This ain't his bag, baby. You know what I'm saying? Somehow you just immediately lose the Cajun when you try to start it.
it wasn't his bag, baby. So what happened was he ended up killing Julian. And then they were like, you better run, Forrest, run. And he was like,
Yeah, baby.
He was like, I'll behave. And he ran away.
I can't believe we're kind of bringing that back. We're going to bring "Oh Behave" back. We will.
No, we won't. No,
Mark
we won't.
my words. 2015 is the year of Austin Powers.
Did you see Dr. Evil on Saturday Night Live?
I did not.
No, a couple weeks ago, Dr. Evil.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
You heard about it?
I didn't. I didn't even hear about it.
Well, if you would let me speak, you would hear about it.
Nope, don't want to.
Dr. Evil hijacked the airwaves during the intro to the Saturday Night Live episode a few weeks back and commented on the whole interview fiasco in North Korea as an evil empire and stuff. And it was cool. It wasn't that funny, but it was cool to see the character
Was it Mike Myers?
again. Yeah, totally.
One, cool, they brought him back. Two, sounds like you said it wasn't really that funny?
It wasn't that funny.
Parts of the reason why I haven't been watching Saturday Night Live for
not funny,
a long time.
But, if there was another Austin Powers movie, the only reason probably that I'd go see it would be Dr. Evil. So
Yeah, I think That was the last character in Austin Powers that I got tired of.
He was always my favorite.
Him and his son, Seth Green.
Yeah, I would go see another Austin Powers movie just to see Dr. Evil. So get on it. It's been long enough. I'll do it. I'll give you your fucking ticket. Just don't bring Oh Behave back.
just leave Austin Powers himself out of it.
Just that's up to the fans. That's up to the fans, is to understand that this movie came out long enough ago and that was a thing long enough ago. You don't need to. We're past saying it.
So why are we talking about this?
Because they told Gambit he better run, Forrest, run.
Oh, right, of course. Well, he took their advice, and he sure did run.
He was banished from New Orleans.
He ran so far away, gotta get away.
So he was banished from New Orleans, lived on his own as a thief for a while, but his power eventually just became way too much for him to handle. It just got out of hand, which I guess...
Yeah, that happened when I was 14 a couple times, too.
So he went to Mr. Sinister for help. That happened a couple times when you were 14.
That only happened once.
And
I only got that desperate. I only went to him once.
I wrote a fanfic about it, and it became 50 Shades of Grey.
I am E.L. James.
50 Shades of Sinister. No, Gross. Mr. Sinister, Gambit goes to him for help, and what he does is he takes out a portion of his brainstem, which makes him less powerful, and now able to control his powers.
Yeah, that's weird, though, to think that all it takes is a little bit of a lobotomy.
Yeah, Heroes does the same thing with Sylar cutting open their heads and able to duplicate their power by looking at their brain. Spoiler alert for Heroes, sorry.
Oh, bigger spoiler alert, he didn't have to kill them.
Eventually
he learned how to do it without having to kill them.
And then he's killed anyway.
Because it was fun.
Speaking of Heroes, that shit better happen this year, man. I know it's going to suck, but I thought that Heroes was coming back in spring 2015, and I haven't heard shit since, like, July. Anyway.
It's being kept under wraps proper.
So in exchange for that favor, he had Gambit carry out all sorts of favors for him.
So now, instead of the original idea of Mr. Sinister acting as an agent for Gambit, Gambit's now an agent of Sinister.
Whoa, you blew my mind.
Bruh.
I was getting to that.
You almost got to the bruh.
So eventually he has Gambit put together this group to carry out a very special mission for him. This group's called the Marauders. I don't remember everyone that was on it. I know Sabretooth was there.
Yeah, there was like Riptide, Vertigo, Harpoon.
That's like the most 90s group of superhero names. Riptide, Sabretooth, Vertigo, Harpoon.
Could you tell that Rob Liefeld made them up? Harpoon. His mutant powers. He shoots harpoons out of his chest.
A deep-sea Navy commando with an attitude as bad as his odor.
Oh, my God. Kablam!
Yes. Right in the chest. Crumpled him.
He sticky divered him.
And this is why people don't listen to our podcast.
Right, I guess so, because we just got off on a tangent. Anyways, so these Marauders guys were sent to kind of wipe out the terrible, horrible Morlocks who were bad people, but in reality, Mr. Sinister just kind of wanted to get rid of them.
Yeah, it was a subterranean community of mutants.
Sewer dwellers.
He wanted them to slaughter them. And
just wanted them gone.
Yeah, when Gambit realized that, he was like, no,
Sherry.
And he tried to stop them. You know what? No, he was like, no.
Not my face.
So Gambit tried to stop them, but he failed, and he only ended up saving one little girl.
Well, even if he saved one life, does it mean he actually failed? He still saved one life.
He failed to stop the Marauders.
It's true. He was only able to save one small child, but that child turned out to be Marrow.
Yeah, she's the mutant who can make her bones shoot out.
Yeah, I just want to side note
Gambit's
that...
like, whoa, I got that power too, Sherry.
I just want to side note that in X-Men Evolution, there was a character that was created for it, which was Storm's nephew, Spike, and he had the same abilities, and they just kind of turned Marrow into a dude. He ended up eventually becoming the leader of the Morlocks. And
that sucks. Marrow's kind of cool as she is.
Yeah, that is kind of lame, but at least they were cool with the character. The character became pretty cool. But that does suck. Marrow is pretty BA.
So after wandering the world on his own some more, he finally ends up meeting Storm. And this was when Storm was like a teenager or whatever, when they shrunk her age down or whatever.
Yeah, she was quote-unquote de-aged and then given amnesia from the de-aging process.
What's the point in de-aging someone if you're not going to give him amnesia?
So how does that work? Do you think, say you were de-aged, you're a 30-year-old man or woman, it doesn't matter. You were de-aged to a 12-year-old version of yourself. Are you still 30 years old? Like if you don't ever get yourself changed back, will you re-age at the same rate and die at like what your body looks like is 70 or 80? Or would you do it 20 years earlier because your mental age is...
Your mental age doesn't make you die.
Your physical age does.
No, but at that time she was living as a thief. And her and Gambit both tried to rob the same house. And that's how they met up with each other.
And that's cool. And then he kind of like took her under her wing. And was like, oh, my little thief friend. Oh, that's pretty cool. Eventually, Storm got back to her normal self. And she lost her amnesia, thankfully. Praise Jeebus. So she brought him back to the school with her to talk to Xavier, to talk to Charles, and see if, she can get him admitted into the X-Men. You'd be a good asset, Remy's like, well, I did kind of partake in a massacre. Maybe joining this superhero squad could help me atone for my sins.
And this is to himself, as an aside, while he's in his room experimenting with his powers.
Yeah, nobody else knew that he was part of that.
No, of course
At least not yet.
Of course, the static helped to keep the psychics from being able to see that.
Right.
And
I think
he kept his skeletons in his closet.
Maybe Professor X was a little bit nervous at first, and he was like, I cannot read his mind.
Yeah, well, he seems cool.
Jean,
maybe
you can
cigarettes.
help me.
He's cool.
No, he smokes with cigarettes.
Wolverine's like, I drink beer. Aren't I cool? We already got a bad boy. We don't need this guy.
I don't trust this guy. He's a Cajun. That is very wrong and prejudiced of you.
The only French immigrants I trust are my Canadian ancestry.
Wow. I just realized maybe he didn't trust him. He was like, Southern French, huh?
So he fights along the X-Men for a while, fights alongside him. They fight Magneto. They go to the fucking Savage Land. They have all sorts of merry, fun adventures. And
Yay.
not so fun adventures.
Oh.
And he develops this world-famous on and off relationship with Rogue.
World star.
I can't tell you how many People magazines I've seen with Gambit and Rogue split again.
Oh, I thought you were serious for a second. Nah, satire. I think it's cool though because it's literally probably my favorite comic book romance, if you would.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, they have such
favorite?
Favorite.
Nah. Scott and Ramona, man, I'm sorry.
Okay, sure. Yeah, no, Gambit and Rogue would crush them any day.
I'm not talking about fighting.
Me neither. I'm talking about experimenting with my thoughts.
Gambit talking about Gambit's powers.
You
Stop
hear
talking like the Cookie Monster.
Try to do a Cajun Cookie Monster now.
I can't do a Cajun accent. The closest I can get is the X-Men cartoon.
It's funny though, like I could try, and sometimes I could start off right, and then sometimes I can work into it, but I can never hold it. I can't hold it.
That's how I am with most accents. So eventually, though, his past is revealed. Interestingly enough, when he finally kisses Rogue, when they think they're gonna die.
Oh yeah, because she's not reading your thoughts; she's reading your body.
She's absorbing his energy.
Absorbing him.
She absorbs a few memories.
She's like, "Do you feel me inside of you, Gambit?"
No, she was never.
I'm in your
of
mind.
Him. She was never in his mind. She's
was.
like, "Nah, I'm just fucking with you."
Yeah, I just took your powers.
But he is kicked out of the X-Men, and of course, he eventually gets back in.
Yeah, I think it's really stupid of them to kick him out of the X-Men for something that happened in the past, because they're all about... It's not like he did anything presently to get him kicked out.
I agree. They didn't just kick him out of the X-Men either. They abandoned that dude in Antarctica.
Yeah.
They were like, fuck you.
You took place in this. We as mutants cannot condone this. And while we preach tolerance and love and second chances to terrible villains like Magneto and the Brotherhood, we give them all these chances, but you had your one shot. And you fucked up before you joined us, son. Get out.
Hope that trench coat's warm. Rorschach could do it. Man up, Gambit.
Funny thing you said that, because in a recent, not a recent comic book that was published, but recently I read a Gambit comic, and he was on a mission somewhere cold, and he was like, I'm going to have a jacket next time I come out here. It's a little too cold for me. And ever since then, he had the
that was
trench coat.
That was one of his origin stories, right? Yeah.
Volume 1. Sorry.
Yeah, it was before the fact, when it was like, oh, I get it. He's gonna go get that trench coat he's known for wearing.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, there was this like long building arc that was supposed to end in Gambit betraying the X-Men. You know, Bishop even comes back in time to like tell them Gambit was a traitor and all this.
Oh man, when was that when he met him as the witness?
Yeah, in the future. But the writers changed this whole thing at the last second because Gambit was just a super popular character and they didn't want to kick him out of the X-Men and be
the actual villain and be the betrayer. What didn't it turn out? They changed it to like it was Mystique disguised as Gambit.
Really? I don't know. I thought it had something to do with Professor X and Onslaught and I don't know.
Some shit. I mean, there's
Comics
so
are
many.
Weird.
There's so many alternate universes. There's so many alternate realities. There's so much shit has happened that is just basically... It could have been any number of stories that have happened in the past 40, 50 years.
Right. A lot more stuff has happened to Gambit, but for us to give you like a full life story of every single thing this character's been through, we'd have to explain the context of every single X-Men story arc for like the last 20, 30 years. You know, it's not going to happen.
And quite frankly, we already talked about the Horseman of the Apocalypse one, which is most interesting to me, so that's all that matters.
That always is all that matters.
Pre-X-Men stuff. Gambit's also teamed up with a ton of different other mutants / heroes in the Marvel Universe. One of my personal favorites was a half vampire named Blade. You might have heard of him.
There was
Wesley Snipes much.
A Gambit Blade team?
Yeah, it was really cool because since Blade is part of the Marvel Universe, vampires exist there. And New Orleans has always been a hotbed for vampire activity. Just watch True Blood if you don't believe me.
Yeah, their team-ups were kind of a staple of Gambit thing. Maybe, you know, as him being one of my favorite characters, if not my favorite X-Men, you know, I'm conceding this, that maybe he has trouble holding up his own ongoing titles. They never sell well. They never last.
They really don't.
That much interesting, you know,
honestly, that should
ways to go with it.
That usually falls onto... I like to put the blame on the person writing those.
True, but at the same time, he is a great character. And
exactly.
So pairing him up with other characters does kind of work well.
It helps.
That's okay.
It does.
There's Gambit and Wolverine, I think, had their own series at one time.
There was a mini-series for it called Victims. They tried to crack the case of a Jack the Ripper-style murderer.
Oh, really? That's what it was about?
Yeah,
I remember the comics, but I never read them.
Gambit, Wolverine, Victims.
Okay. Also, he's been like really a lot closer to X-23, the like female clone of Wolverine. She's in Marvel vs. Capcom.
She's BA. She was always one of my Marvel vs. Capcom characters.
Me too. That's cool. And she's not even one of the best characters in the game, but I just think she's dope and I play well with her.
Okay, real quick, your top 4.
What in Marvel vs. Capcom?
Or I mean, it's a team of 3, right?
It's a team of 3.
Yeah, your team, real quick.
For Marvel vs. Capcom
Standard.
3?
Sure. Yes.
That's the one with X-23.
Yeah.
It's X-23, Zero, and Amaterasu.
Okay. I am X-23, Deadpool, and Dante.
Okay, cool. You don't have Iron Man on your team? We can play.
I
won't play people that play as Iron Man because I'm just like, no, it's not fun. I'm sorry, it's not fun fighting Iron Man.
Well, he's got that
being
badass...
a sore loser. I'm not being a sore loser. I don't mind losing. I just play games to have fun. And fighting Iron Man is no fun for me, so I'll play a different game. Thank you.
That's funny, but you choose the dog, right?
Yes, totally. Oh, I love it.
I have no fun playing against the dog.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, that's funny.
All right. Well, that was another awesome fucking request episode. Thanks again, Sarah.
Thank you so much. You put my favorite X-Men into the forefront of one of our topics. Cool. You're awesome. That one's for you.
Next week, we're taking Matt's suggestion.
Oh, hey, Matt. Thanks. This is going to be a difficult one.
Oh, yeah. He suggested we do an episode called The Criminal Underworld in a Galaxy Far, Far Away.
Well, it's obvious this guy knows us, because if we're going to tackle Star Wars, we might as well start off with a small chunk of it. Just a tiny piece.
I can't believe we've never done a Star Wars episode yet.
Those are one of the ones we were saving.
We almost did Princess Leia at one point.
Right.
And something got in the way. I think
what
maybe
got in the way was
a guest episode.
We didn't have enough time in between when we had recorded and decided and was going to. And we're like, we need at least like 2 weeks.
It was
to
right
do this.
before episode 50, right?
Yeah.
And we were like, we don't have time, so we did top 20 of 1989 because it was easier to research.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's how the minds work behind this podcast, people. You're learning things, and you're realizing if we can find a cop-out topic, we will take a cop-out topic. No, pizza was really serious. We didn't do pizza. I meant ice cream. We were going to use pizza at some point.
Water parks.
Water parks. Nope, not at all. That was one of my first ones I ever wanted to do.
So next week, we're going to go and take a look at the criminal underbelly of the Star Wars movies.
Which means I have to read a few novels first.
Yeah, and don't worry, because that's a topic that there's no way we could cover everything. Sort of like Watchmen. So we're going to revisit those things. Dude, we've already listened to last week's episode, and we're like, oh, man, we missed this, we missed this, we missed this. There's more Watchmen episodes in the future.
There's definitely more Watchmen episodes in the future.
Tons more Star Wars
This
in the
is
future.
part of the reason why we hadn't really done a Star Wars episode yet, because we knew it's such a huge thing. But thanks for the challenge. I accept. Nathan accepts, too.
And to everybody else that requested stuff, we're going to extend January by 1 week. I called up Obama. He said it's cool. He doesn't mind. So there's going to be one extra week of January. So
I really think it should be Too Bad, So Sad.
Fan request.
Too Bad, So Sad. Wait for next year. I mean, this fan didn't get fan didn't get their thing requested. Well, guess what? Neither did 40 other people.
We
Plus.
don't only take fan requests once a year.
We should really do that. January is going to, from now on, be fan request month. I like that idea. Tell me you don't.
I don't.
You don't want to always do it. Oh, do you want to like switch it to a different month?
I think all year long is listener appreciation month.
You're dreaming too big, man.
How about 11 months out of the year are listener appreciation month?
And then there's Scare Point?
And then there's Scare Point.
All right. Sure. I don't think we're going to move on from here until I agree. So I shall concede because I am the bigger man.
No, sir. You know who's the bigger man?
The man who can punch you the hardest in the chest.
Demand. Pastor Demand.
That demand.
Hey, if you want to get punched in the chest with awesomeness, find us on one of the many places on social media that you can find us.
Can you just imagine if, like, you go to their social media and it just punches you? Whoa, kinetic energy.
Facebook, Twitter, SoundCloud, Tumblr. We're all the fuck over the place, son. You don't even know.
You can also send us an email. Continue requesting shit.
If you're not a fan of us on Facebook, if you haven't liked our Facebook page, stuff happens, and you don't even know. It goes right over your head. It's like, status updated. They ain't even know.
I don't know how to continue, so I just do a Master P grunt.
Master P grunt at us at any of those fine locations. It's at Fairpoint Pod on Twitter, Fairpoint Podcast everywhere else. And we're on iTunes, we're on Podbay, and it helps us a lot when you leave us ratings and reviews.
Sure
YouTube
does.
too. We're on YouTube.
Oh, we're also on YouTube. Yeah, Fairpoint Podcast still, right?
Yeah, you need to check that shit out because we do cool shit there every once in a while. Sometimes twice.
In one night.
Sometimes
Booyah.
twice. No time period. Just sometimes we do cool stuff twice. All that shit's a great way to support us. It's a great way to stay updated on what's going on with the podcast and, you know, if there's anything cool coming up or anything unexpected and all sorts of extra shit. So thanks as always. Next week, the criminal underworld in a galaxy far, far away.
Was there any more to that?
No, I don't know. I'm just talking.
What happened in a criminal underworld in a galaxy far, far away?
Well, you'll find out next week.
Did a man make the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs?
He did. Less than 12 parsecs.
Quite possibly a little less than 10 parsecs.
But I'm being modest.
I hate to brag.
From the secret room, I'm Nathan Kappesser.
And I'm Mon Ami. Craig Lewis. Oh, yeah.